This is book one of the Odyssey, titled Athena Inspires the Prince. I wanted to say a few things about this book and this epic before I get started. First of all, these are called books, but they are really more like chapters inside of the entire thing that I will call a book, which is the Odyssey. The Odyssey is what's called an epic poem. The epic part meaning it is a book-length poem that tells a story. And it is still a poem, although you can tell when I start reading that it does not rhyme. It would have rhymed in the original Greek, probably, but it's been translated into English and therefore it doesn't rhyme anymore. You can tell that it looks like a poem here on the page because it is in lines and stanzas. And on the right-hand side, like for instance, out from the word return, you can see the line numbers, like that one's line 10. So this first book of the Odyssey begins with an invocation or a prayer, which you read about in the introduction to the Odyssey last week. And so Homer, who is the original storyteller of the Odyssey, began by calling on or praying to the Muses, who are the goddesses of art and inspiration, in order to help him tell this very long, complicated story. So the beginning is also going to mention Troy, and you could also probably remember from the introduction to the Odyssey that the book that comes before this is the Iliad, which tells the story of Odysseus as the hero of the Trojan War. So the Iliad told the entire story of the Trojan War, which we don't really need to know. All we need to know that happened. And then the Odyssey is the entire story of his journey home from the war, which was very long and complicated. So I'll start with the invocation, which is this first stanza. He says, "Sing to me of the man Muse, the man of twists and turns, driven time and again off course, once he had plundered the hallowed heights of Troy. Many cities of men he saw and learned their minds. Many pains he suffered, heartsick on the open sea, fighting to save his life and bring his comrades home. But he could not save them from disaster. Hard as he strove, the recklessness of their own ways destroyed them all. The blind fools, they devoured the cattle of the sun, and the sun god wiped from sight the day of their return. Launch out on his story, Muse, daughter of Zeus. Start from where you will. Sing for our time too." So Homer's really saying that the Muses are going to tell the story through him. And he also references this incident with the cattle of the sun. You do not need to know what that is. That's sort of a teaser for later in the story. So he continues, "By now, all the survivors, all who avoided headlong death, were safe at home, escaped the wars and waves. But one man alone, his heart set on his wife and his return, Calypso, the bewitching nymph, the lustrous goddess, held him back, deep in her arching caverns, craving him for a husband. But then, when the wheeling seasons brought the year around, the year spun out by the gods when he should reach his home. Ithaca, though not even there would he be free of trials, even among his loved ones. Then every god took pity, all except Poseidon. He raged on, seething against the great Odysseus, till he reached his native land. But now Poseidon had gone to visit the Ethiopians, worlds away. Ethiopians off at the farthest limits of mankind, a people split in two, one part where the sun god sets and part where the sun god rises. Their Poseidon went to receive an offering, bulls and rams by the hundred. Far away at the feast, the sea lord sat and took his pleasure. But the other gods, at home in Olympian Zeus's hall, met for full assembly there, and among them now the father of men and gods was first to speak, sorely troubled, remembering handsome Aegisthus, the man Agamemnon's son, renowned Orestes killed. Recalling Aegisthus, Zeus harangued the immortal powers. Ah, how shameless, the way these mortals blame the gods. From us alone, they say, come all their miseries. Yes, but they themselves, with their own reckless ways, compound their pains beyond their proper share. Look at Aegisthus now. Above and beyond his share, he stole Artetu's wife. He murdered the warlord coming home from Troy, though he knew it meant his own total ruin. Far in advance, we took him so ourselves, dispatching the guide, the giant killer Hermes. Don't murder the man, he said. Don't court his wife. Beware, revenge will come from Orestes, Agamemnon's son, the day he comes of age and longs for his native land. So Hermes warned with all the gods in the world, all the goodwill in the world. But would Aegisthus' hardened heart give way? Now he pays the price, all at a single stroke. Okay, so basically that's Zeus complaining about human beings. The details concern the Trojan War, but they're not very important. This part gets more specific to what will happen in the Odyssey. But it's a conversation between Athena and Zeus, her dad. So it goes, and sparkling-eyed Athena drove the matter home. Father, son of Cronos, our high and mighty king, surely he goes down to a death earned in full. Let them all die so, all who do such things. But my heart breaks for Odysseus, that seasoned veteran cursed by fate so long. Far from his loved ones still, he suffers torments off on a wave-washed island, rising at the center of the seas, a dark, wooded island, and there a goddess makes her home, a daughter of Atlas, wicked Titan, who sounds the deep all in its depths, whose shoulders lift on high the colossal pillars, thrusting earth and sky apart. Atlas's daughter it is who holds Odysseus captive, luckless man, despite his tears, forever trying to spellbound his heart with suave, seductive words, and wipe all thought of Ithaca from his mind. But he, straining no more than a glimpse of hearth smoke drifting from his own land, Odysseus longs to die. Olympian Zeus, have you no care for him in your lofty heart? Did he never win your favor with sacrifices burned beside the ships on the broad plain of Troy? Why, Zeus, so dead set against Odysseus? My child, Zeus marshals the thunderhead reply. What nonsense you let slip through your teeth. Now, how on earth could I forget Odysseus? Great Odysseus, who excels all men in wisdom, excels in offerings too. He gives the immortal gods who rule the vaulting skies. No, it's the earth shaker Poseidon, unappeased, forever fuming against him for the Cyclops whose giant eye he blinded, godlike Polyphemus, towering over all the Cyclops' clans in power. We're skipping a little bit. Athena, her eyes flashing bright, exulted, Father, son of Cronos, our high and mighty king, if now it really pleases the blissful gods that wise Odysseus shall return home at last, let us dispatch the guide and giant killer Hermes down to Ogygia Island, down to announce at once to the nymph with lovely braids our fixed decree. Odysseus journeys home, the exile must return, while I myself go down to Ithaca, rouse his son to a braver pitch, inspire his heart with courage to summon the flowing-haired Achaeans to full assembly, speak his mind to all those suitors, slaughtering on his droves of sheep and shambling longhorn cattle. Next I will send him off to Sparta and sandy Pylos, there to learn of his dear father's journey home. Perhaps he will hear some news and make his name throughout the mortal world. So that is the end of book 1. Athena has a plan to send Hermes, who she calls the giant killer, but who's also the messenger god, down to Calypso's island, Ogygia, to free Odysseus. And then Athena, as she mentions here on this last stanza, is going to go down to Ithaca and visit Odysseus' son and inspire him to go on his own journey.